Video games. This is interesting. Let's see what this is about. I feel like Unreal Engine 5 would make video games better. That's my initial thought. Is like it would make video games better. So I'm curious to see a counterpoint. I think videos like these are really good. I think I need to start making videos like these. I have a video in mind about something that's like against the grain. Oh, so good. Something that can start controversy and get people talking.
Unreal Engine 5.
Unreal Engine 5.
Unreal Engine 5.
Unreal
Is that good volume?
Ruining video games.
Turn it up a little bit.
Unreal Engine has made real-time, near photorealistic graphics readily available for
Oh, is
whoever
Hogwarts?
wants to
Wait,
take
is
their
Hogwarts Legacy Unreal Engine? I didn't think the graphics were that great in Hogwarts Legacy.
time near photorealistic graphics readily available for whoever wants to take their time to learn their stupidly overcomplicated program.
Okay.
And with the gift of bringing the power of in-house engines to the public, in return we've gotten an oversaturated market of absolute blah. Now don't get me wrong,
Absolute
I
blah.
absolutely love Unreal Engine. For God's sake, I hope I do.
Is he saying he's saying unsaturated market of Unreal blah? I feel like I'm assuming what he's saying is everyone is using Unreal Engine and now we're getting all these unrealistic or now we're getting all these realistic video games. Video game graphics are trying to be realistic and it's taken away from stylistic video games and taken away from the art. Is that what this video is about? Look, I'm going to say it. This is not because of Unreal Engine. The video games have been trying to do this since like the PS2. Even with the polygon graphics, you can't say though they were limited by their technology, but those polygon graphics, they were trying to make them as real as possible. Even like look at Metal Gear. Look at Tomb Raider, look at Metal Gear, then look at when Call of Duty came out, look at Grand Theft Auto. I think Grand Theft Auto is probably the perfect example because Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You think Grand Theft Auto was using the best that technology that they could at their time. And they're continuing to push those limits. I don't think at all it has to do with the fact that Unreal Engine's coming in. I don't think this is something new. I think this is something that we progress towards. I do think that stylistic graphics. Let me go on a better screen so we're not just looking at a black screen. I do think that stylistic graphics are better long term. I think they age better, like World of Warcraft. Like the style in World of Warcraft just ages better. Like League of Legends, the style and those graphics are going to age better for a game that's going to last longer. But for a game that is for its time, like Grand Theft Auto, I believe like pushing the graphics and getting the best of what you can out of the graphics is what's best.
of absolute
Or is what's expected.
Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Unreal Engine. For God's sake, I hope I do. It's single-handedly.
That was a big
pays my
assumption
bills.
on me.
But that doesn't mean I don't have many problems with the engine. With the release of Unreal Engine 5, you all have probably seen tens of different games.
We'll see if
coming out in the
if I
next
take
year
my
or two
take
made
back.
in Unreal Engine. And maybe it's just me, but I've been quite disappointed when watching these trailers. It's just this repetitive, bland look that me and my coworker have been calling the Unreal Engine look.
Okay.
It's this indescribable feeling of sameness that has plagued the visual style of all these games. It's something about the depth of focus and the hair and the foliage and the
Yeah,
and
I know what he
God,
means. I
don't
know what
get
he
me
means.
started on particle systems. Maybe this is just a thing that I care about, and honestly, maybe it's just because I work in Unreal Engine for 10 hours every day.
I can see
so
that.
I'm so used to seeing all the weird uniquities and imperfections that
Yeah,
the
I can see
engine
that.
brings to these renders, but so many games these days feel like personality-less.
I can relate to that. The more I get into editing, the more I learn about editing, the more I learn about like video design and like how to capture audiences and stuff like that. It's one of those things where like when you watch a video, even when you watch a movie, you can tell they do certain things in certain ways to appeal to an audience, and it's hard for me to look at movies the same way again, knowing what's behind the curtain. It doesn't bother me. I actually like knowing what's behind the curtain. I love that kind of stuff, but I do understand what he's saying.
asset.
And I am changing what I'm saying. I do agree what he's saying.
To blame. Unreal is a tool that many studios use to help them create hyper-stylized masterpieces.
Yeah.
Things that step out of this uncanny valley of Unreal Engine and into the feeling of any other AAA game. Maybe it's that damn Square Enix budget that gave Final Fantasy VII and Octopath the ability to make these wonderful demonstrations of what the engine could produce.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the real problem is.
Motorcycle.
Games are able to be made by smaller and smaller studios these days, and thus they rely more and more on the tools like Unreal Engine to make their art. Some indie studios can...
I can see that, and I do agree with that. Like, there are some things, like seeing Final Fantasy in Unreal was beautiful. Like, it made me so happy to see Final Fantasy in Unreal, and it was one of those things where it was like, this is how I've always imagined Final Fantasy, especially since not Crisis Core, but since Advent Children, the movie, came out. I've always, like, that's just how we've always imagined Final Fantasy. Now we got to play it. I've never gotten to play, though. I need to play it.
Absolutely.
I should probably play it now since I have no games to
Take Stray,
review.
for example, a game that is completely stylized and beautiful.
Yep.
But most studios rely so heavily on what Unreal Engine can do that they all become this unstylized, semi-realistic blob.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine itself is an amazing tool that can help us create stunning games. But it's a double-edged sword because it has that trap of the unrealiness of it, which is honestly hard to escape, especially if you're an indie. Unreal Engine isn't really built for indie teams. It makes the promise of easy photorealism to whoever wants it, but the price is one of the only things that can make an indie team stand out in such a competitive industry. Their style. Even games that try to make their own style to fit into the awkward-shaped puzzle piece that is Unreal still fall into this uncanny generic valley. That is the trap of Unreal, an empty promise that you can make whatever you want. But whatever you make will always be generic and lack that character that pushes it to be the masterpiece that you want it to be. Unless you have millions of dollars of budget, and then you might make something that looks unique. I hate that I'm saying this, but my
That's true, that sucks.
Unity doesn't have this problem. It's more open-ended visually. It lacks the guardrails
The
that Unreal
Nemesis?
places on you that are so hard to escape. Unity 2 can become samey, but it's samey in the way that people make their games generic and they look generic, and not in the way that the engine forces you to make it look the same. And yeah, there are always pros and cons to using either software.
This has nothing to do with the video, and I think this is a fantastic video, and I think this is a great video essay. I just can tell that he took another take there by the change in his voice and by the cut that happened at the same time. I just because I do the same thing, and in my videos you can hear the same thing, so it just, I couldn't help
But
it.
in my opinion, as an indie designer that uses Unreal Engine every single day, Unreal Engine with each update is becoming less and less a tool for the solo developer and more becoming an overcomplicated mess that might become best used by large studios, lest the market might become so oversaturated with Unreal Engine 5 games that soon people might gawk at the sight of something made in Unreal. There might be such a plethora of generosity that might make people sick of seeing these games, and thus made in Unreal might soon be something that turns many people off from games made in it.
Oh,
But
man.
in all honesty, that's just a thought, and this whole video is completely opinionated.
I don't think people pay too much attention to that kind of stuff. I do think, like, I do see where he's coming from. I do like, this is something that I never really thought of myself. But it is, I do think he brings up a good point, and I do agree with his point that I don't know what it's like using Unreal. There was once upon a time where I wanted to make video games, but didn't, because I don't like math, and I don't know. I tried programming, and it's not for me. I like to be, I like to think of myself as more of a writer. I guess I could still, well, that's besides the point. I'm getting off topic. Either way, I do think, like, yeah, you have these indie people who are actually competing with AAA games, and indie people, in my opinion, tend to make higher quality games than AAA studios. So, but if the game looks the same as a AAA game, because they're trying to compete with it, you put yourself in this position where it's like, oh, this game is no different than another game. And I don't think like a lot of more casual gamers who don't keep up with, like, the behind the scenes of the industry really care at the end of the day, what, who makes what, they look at a game, they see if it looks cool, maybe it's got some anime titties in it, and then they'll buy it, and they could be disappointed in what they get. They're like, oh, this game looks like this, and then so yeah, I can see that. There are a lot of times where I'm surprised that something was made by an indie studio because it looks like a AAA game. And it gives the impression of a AAA game, and then I'm more pissed off at the game because I thought it was AAA. So I totally get what he's saying. Like it breeds this, what's something that I compare it to? I feel like think about, oh man, I don't have a good analogy for this. I never have good analogies, but like I feel like you look at a game that has a battle pass and they all look the same. Like all battle passes look the same. You know exactly how to navigate through a battle pass because they all look the same. And you want them all to look the same because you want people to be able to navigate through them and you want people to know how to use them. Whereas when you're trying to sell your game to people, you may use an Unreal Engine because you're trying to get people to say like, hey, look at what we're doing. But it creates this it makes all the games kind of look the same in that sort of. But I think whenever like new engines release, that we get a plethora of different types of things because people try to experiment, and there are still things like Octopath Traveler that go out of their way to make something super beautiful. However, like he was saying, you need like a big studio with millions of dollars to create stuff like that.
If you disagree, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. I love Unreal Engine from the bottom of my heart. I've been using it for 7 years now, and it's made
Let's see what the comment section has to say.
But
honestly, I feel like Unreal Look isn't because of the program being restrictive or putting guardrails. It's just lazy, passionless people who see the service level potential of the engine and don't care. I agree with this. I 100% agree with that. I think I don't think the people in the studio, I think the executives don't care about the game, but I do think that the people in the studios who make the games, there are people that are definitely passionate and do want good things to come out of it. Forspoken is quite a lot throughout this video, but it's not made in Unreal Engine 5. It still has the same look, I think. Shout out to Capcom and because they're trying to mimic the Unreal Engine look. But yeah. That was a pretty alright video. I'll link the video in the Discord and in the stuff. Go check it out.
YouTube.
Until next time.
Going
oh
on
my
today.
God. Yep, that basically. Until next time, YouTube. Play nice.